2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Welcome to Teaching Crypto, everybody. No, we're not doing Fast Flip Thursday or Friday. It's just not realistic right now. This is AZcrypto, MrFOMO. MrFOMO, we've got some beef to pick with some people. Well, not necessarily some people, but it's time to get real with, everyone talks the talk, and it's easy to post things. But let's get real right now for a couple things. First of all, Bitcoin is struggling just to get back to 21,000, which I never thought I would say 3-4 weeks ago, not even a week or two ago. It's not something we expected. And I don't know what the bottom is. Okay. There's nowhere to freak out. We're not going to zero. I'm going to share, and we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to share a really quick chart in just a little bit when you allow me to. I want to show something to the viewers, and then we'll talk about our beefs. We'll make people wait a little bit before we. So I'm going to share something really quickly, and well, maybe not right away. The reality is, it's not like Bitcoin's been around for that long in terms of like having a really, really high price. So I just wanted to make that clear. In fact, it wasn't that long ago where 20,000, and I know it's going to seem like a little bit of, changing. I'm changing the narrative here, but take a look at this. Okay. 2017. It was a fairly long ago, 5 years, 2,700, 2018, 3,900. Okay. We're getting closer. Not even 8,000. We take a look here in 2020, 8,000. That was 2 years ago. Okay. We're at 20. Do I think we're going down to 8? Absolutely not. Do I think we could go down to 60 and 50 at this point? Yeah, it's possible because of but if you take a look at the bounces that, basically going from nothing to 14,000. And then going back down again and coming back up, we are headed back down. Okay. We're not headed to zero, but we're headed back down. We will recover. So I think what we need to realize with our viewers is buying here and buying here is actually horrible. And that's where we're going to be in 2 years. We're going to be up here again. So again, even though it's like, you don't feel, everyone feels like it's dead. No one's excited. Everyone's upset. These are the times to buy when you're flatlined. Or I don't think we've reached the bottom quite yet, but I think we are close the next couple months when you're down. And I just wanted to point that out. And we've said it, but I think this chart kind of illustrates it. I want to buy here. And I'm not just talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about the alts. I don't want to buy up here and up here. And this is where we're headed when the economy does recover. Nothing stays down forever. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear at the beginning of the show, because there has been a lot of FUD, and there's been, I think, some panic. I think some people have sold that honestly, 2 years from now, if you are selling Bitcoin at $20,000, I'm going to tell you right now, when it gets back above 60 in 2024, you're going to feel like an idiot. No way around it.
Yeah, when you talk about volatility, it's a bad word when it's on the downside, but it's a good word when it's going up, and nobody talks about volatility in that way. And I'm not preaching that there's going to be a V-shaped recovery or anything like that. But at some point we get to, and I was following a thread on Twitter that was explaining that somewhere around 15,000, it's no longer profitable for these big mining companies to continue mining, because they can't cover their costs. So at some point, and if I can, I'll link that in the description. But
That's a great find. Yeah.
the idea is that there are people out there that have a vested interest in keeping Bitcoin above a certain level, and hopefully that means something. I'm not for putting, all my hopes and dreams into one idea or one Twitter thread, but at some point it does become it becomes less profitable for these huge mining corporations to keep these mining operations running. So sure, I believe that there's a floor. Is it 15 or 17? I don't know. I haven't looked at those numbers, and
My prediction is that we'll stay. And again, I'm not a TA expert, but I think we'll stay above 17. I just think been so much sell pressure, and there's people that are not selling. We have obviously no one expected to be, we did expect to hit maybe 20, but we thought honestly within a few hours it would jump back up to 22, 23 because there'd be so much buying pressure. But the reality is we've been at 20 for a while. So 16, 17, not out of the question. I don't expect us to go back to single digits. That would really shock me, like you said. Even getting below 15 would
just
shock
kind of
me.
into one of our ideas that we're going to talk about later, but there were so many influencers that said that they had buy orders. I've got so many buy orders at the low 40,000s, or I've got so many buy orders at 35, and then it was at 30, and then I've got all these buy orders, and all these people were talking about, it's going to get snapped up because, everybody's just waiting till it hits this price or until it hits this, this SMA, whichever band they were talking about. And in the end, it fell through all of those levels. And so I'm starting to wonder about, a lot of these influencers. I'm starting to wonder a lot about a lot of these people who are saying, I'm buying this, I'm buying that. And is that really what's happening?
Well, let's talk about VGX for a moment here. The good news is that the beta for the debit card is finally almost over. And so people should be getting their debit cards. I know you're laughing. We'll see. So it's kind of like, are you going to see Bigfoot? Are you going to get your debit card? I think we'll finally be getting them. But I'm going to call out some people that are on some of this Twitter Spaces, and I'm not going to name names, but you can't all be holding all this VGX if it's struggling to get back to 52 cents, guys. There's just no, and I know some people do have a lot. Definitely, you can see the wallets, but some of you that claim to be in the higher tiers and you're accumulating, it's not happening mathematically. It can't be happening. Look at the look at our market cap. It's well below 200 million. We're struggling to get in the 150s. It's not there. So there's some dishonesty. I think some people have gotten out, and that's fine. Get out, be honest, but don't pretend like you're still in. I think it's a little disingenuous.
Took huge profits at some point. When the fear and greed level was at 94, and Guy Fieri was buying a bunch of Dogecoin, that should have tipped everybody off that it was time to kind of cool it with the investing. But you still had all these like these influencers that were encouraging you to be diamond handed when that they were selling off huge portions of their portfolio. That they were making huge sales, but they were never telling us about that. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to say is like the idea of the diamond handed investor, the person who never sells, is a sucker's idea. Like that idea is for people who don't understand the markets. Like if you are never going to sell, you're never going to make a profit. Like you're never going to turn a profit off of those things that you bought. And what is the reason why you bought those things? Unless it's like VGX and it's giving you a return and giving you more returns in other places. But even then, if you have excess VGX, there's a time to exit with those coins. And so I think a lot of these people just get on there. Some of it's a flex, and some of it is just outright, depending on how many followers they have, it could just be outright manipulation. Hey, you guys hold on, everybody diamond handed all the way through. And while you've got 4 million diamond hands sitting there holding on to it, you can dump safely onto their heads and make a tidy profit.
And then complain about the economy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know who you are out there.
Then blame somebody else for
Make a bunch of videos when things are going well and then disappear and not be held accountable.
yeah.
If you're in the VGX community, you know who I'm talking about. And then complain about the economy. Okay, whatever. I mean, you're not making video. If you're only appearing on shows during the bull run and the bear run, all you do is complain. You're a bit of a coward to me. You know, be honest with what you have and what you don't. That's it. You know,
and I think I think when you see some of these people, especially in these smaller communities where it's obvious that the market cap hasn't gone high enough to have all these people holding on at all these high levels, VGX being one of them, it's just, it makes you
and again, everyone has a right to sell whenever they want.
Right.
I don't like the disingenuous lying about still having a token. I just be honest. Just say, I don't have the token right now. I plan to buy back in. Really quickly, if this 3 arrows thing, again, it just shows that the space has some room to grow. It makes the idea of complete decentralization really rough because so many people are not prepared to deal with conflict. And it's been played over and over again with Celsius and now with 3 arrows, earlier with Luna.
Watch out for Tron.
Yeah, so it's hard to say, well, decentralization in the future is coming. Again, it's a nice idea, it's a nice theory, but there has to be some conflict resolution, and an algorithm doesn't always do that.
Not even that. The idea, I see what you're saying, where there has to be the red button. There has to be someone who says, hey, we've got to halt this thing and fix this problem because it's something we couldn't have foreseen. And that I think is important. But on the same side, I think that absolute power, like Benjamin Disraeli said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so if you are that initial coder, that person who's coding in that decentralization, and it's something that we may or may not have seen with the Terra Luna disaster, if you're the initial coder, you have the power to code in malicious, things. You could code in, a backdoor where you can siphon out money. You can code in all these things. The code is only as trustworthy as the people who wrote the code. And so, sure, there's this idea that technology can replace, that it can decentralize and it can make this utopia. But there's 2 major problems there that we've pointed out. You've got to have a red button because you cannot foresee all the problems that are going to happen 20 years from now. It's impossible for you to do that. 20 years ago, I was 22. Somebody would have said, one day money's going to be digital. I would have been like, yeah, credit cards, idiot. And then that would have been it. But, we just don't have that capacity to see that far ahead. And to think that these coders would be so intelligent as to code in these future problems and solutions to future problems is supremely naive. But then on top of that, to believe that these people are so benevolent that they would not create some sort of problem in the code anyway, is also, I think, kind of a silly idea.
So, Mr. FOMO, you're making some great points about the market, and just there's some people, there's some greedy people out there, and decentralization doesn't solve those issues. If someone's corrupt and they want to cheat the system, someone's got to stop them. Or if someone gets greedy, like you were talking about, there should not be all of these liquidations. People should have known that BTC could drop. Okay. Did anyone expect that? A lot of people expect 20K? No, but it wasn't completely out of the question. It's not like we're down to 5K. So the fact that a company like Celsius is in trouble. Do I think we're going to get to 13? Their number? No, but it just shows that there's a lot of growing up to do in the space, like I said.
And remember, we talked about looping earlier, several shows earlier, but we talked about buying an asset and then borrowing against that asset and then buying more assets with that borrowed money. And I mentioned something earlier about phantom coins and phantom shares. And I think that that's probably what you're seeing happen, is maybe some of these exchanges, maybe some of these companies are saying, yeah, you give us money, we will give you X amount of Ethereum. But in reality, they don't hold any of that Ethereum. They are giving you an IOU for that Ethereum or for that DOT or whatever else. But I think that they are getting creative with the way that they're using all of these different things there. And I think that some of these companies may be falling, and some of these hedge funds and banks and exchanges may be falling victim to other places that are saying, yeah, sure, we have this for you. You pay us and we'll give you this X amount of this token. And I would, first of all, I know that this is a problem in the regular Wall Street market. I know that this is a problem that has kind of destroyed corporate governance, because you have all these phantom shares that are showing up because Wall Street is really trying to create money out of thin air. And it's kind of too much to go into right now. But if there's phantom shares on Wall Street and that's not regulated, I guarantee you in crypto it's happening. I guarantee you that there are companies that are handing out IOUs rather than actually holding those cryptos in their wallets for you.
Well, so the bottom
feeling that there's a lot of fake paper out there, or a lot of fake coins out there that are driving down the market.
And hopefully the projects that are lying, they die in this bear. One good thing that comes out of it.
Well,
I want to just leave, try to be a little bit positive here. Again, if you have the patience and you have the wherewithal, the prices here are great. Not for today, not for next week, because you're probably not, unless you get a little bit of a bump. But if you are able to keep the money and you don't need it to live, and you're able to put down some money on some of the projects that we've mentioned, and I think we'll go into, we couldn't do it today because our guest was ill, but we're going to go into a deep dive into VGX next week. And I think it's time to have that bear market draft, because yes, we could go lower, but buying crypto and BTCs at 20 versus buying when it's 16 or 17, it's not going to be that much different. It's the prices will be lower, but it's not like there were, I mean, I don't think so. It's not like something's going down 90% from where it is now. So yeah, there was more downside, but that's why we talked about DCAing. So I think we're going to crank up the shows. Please try to get us more followers. So subscribe, share. Remember, this is the time to build your house that you're going to live in 2024 in the crypto world. And again, a lot of people that are not in the space, that are laughing at people that are in it, they're going to be the ones buying in 2024. We showed you that chart. That's not the time you want to buy. If you are watching the show, you're in at a great time.
Yeah.
And yes, a lot of us are down, but DCA responsibly, if you can afford it, if you believe in the projects, and eventually things will get better.
Yeah, buy now, and then when if you're not watching the fear and greed index, just kind of watch for celebrities being tricked into buying massive amounts of meme coins and coins that most people are telling them not to buy, and then exit.
I mean, right now, crypto is a very dirty word. A lot of people are just putting it down, but you'll know when it's you'll know in 2024. When everyone's excited again into 2025, that'll be the time that people that are here now will be rewarded. And the people that are buying then, well, they will learn the hard way like we did. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.